Again, this is Victoria Cabrera. I am bringing some Medicare education to you, broken down in a series of videos to try to help you understand Medicare and all the components of Medicare, and try to help you make it simple so that way it's easy to understand and it takes out all the stress and the confusion out of things. Now, in the previous videos, we learned about what is Medicare Part A and other parts of Medicare that you might need, you do need to know. Today, specifically, we're going to be talking about Part B. So if you already have knowledge on Part B and you really don't need this information, you can skip over to the next videos. However, today, I want to talk about Part B. So for those of you that are on Medicare, or for those of you that are about to receive Medicare, I want to explain the different parts. Now, in the previous videos, again, we explained how Medicare has different parts like Part A, Part B, and Part D for drugs. Today, we're only going to cover the Part B portion. Now, what is Part B? So Part B is the medical portion of Medicare. So again, when you look at that red, white, and blue card, you're going to see Part A and then you're going to see Part B. When you look at Part B on the card, you'll see where it says medical. That means it's the medical portion. It's going to cover medically necessary services. It's going to cover preventive services. So think of things like doctor visits, preventive care, ambulance, durable medical equipment, lab work. These types of things will be covered under Part B. So there's a whole long list of what's covered and what's not covered under Part B, but just understand, to make it easy, Medicare Part B is the medical portion. It's going to cover medically necessary services. It's also going to cover preventive services. You can write those down. Also, I always like to give the site where you can get this information, which is Medicare.gov. If you're very computer savvy and you're good about toggling through different pages and things like this within that website, it's a good place to go where you can also get all this information. But today I'm just breaking it down very simple. Now, with Part B, remember, Part A, there's no premium. In most cases, there's no monthly cost to have Part A. But Part B, on the other hand, some of you have already experienced this, or some of you might be getting letters already saying what the Part B premium is going to be for you. Now, Part B premium. If you have Part B, this is not an optional premium to pay. You have to pay this as long as you have the Part B portion of Medicare, okay? Now, that premium for 2020 is now it's $144.06, or no, I'm sorry, $144.60, $144.60. Now, Victoria, do I have to pay that premium? What if I feel like I don't need it? Well, the answer is you do have to pay it if you do keep the Part B. The next question is, Victoria, do I need Part B? And my answer is very tricky when it comes to certain situations. My recommendation is really not to go without the Part B in certain situations. Otherwise, there's going to be penalties involved, and we're going to get into penalties in a video in the near future. However, just to make it simple, if you have Part B, you will be paying a monthly premium of $144.60 per month. Now, understand that some of you might get a letter and that cost might be a little bit higher. Why do you think that is? Well, if your income is if you have a higher income, then it's going to determine what your premium will be. Now, the good news is you can kind of get an idea of what your premium will be. If you go to Medicare.gov, there's a table. I'm probably going to just put the document in the comments below, so that way you guys can just click on it and it's there. And so that way you can look at your income, you can determine, oh, okay, my income is here, or my income is here, and now this is what I think I'm going to pay in my Medicare Part B. The Part B premium never goes away. In some cases, if you qualify for some low income programs through the state, in some cases, the state will pay that premium for those individuals. If you think you might fall into that category, you can call me and I can look into it for your state to see if that's something that you qualify for. But for everybody else, the average premium will be $144.60 per month. And that premium, if you're already receiving Social Security benefits, will be taken out of your Social Security check directly. So you don't have to worry about it. If you're not drawing Social Security and you're still working, then that's a different story. In most cases, they're going to send you a quarterly bill. So don't get concerned if you see this big bill and say, oh, Victoria said that it was only going to be $144.60. And now it shows X amount. Well, keep in mind, if you're still working and you're not receiving Social Security benefits and you've enrolled into the Part B portion of Medicare, then what's going to happen is they are going to send you a quarterly bill for that $144.60. Okay. Another thing, we talked about deductibles in previous videos. So we talked about Part A deductibles and how that works. However, with Part B deductible, it's a little bit more easy to understand. Okay. Part B deductible, and again, these are 2020 numbers, so this can change every single year going forward. So with that being said, the 2020 Part B deductible is $198. Now keep in mind, and write this down, keep in mind that is an annual deductible. Okay, so in the previous video, we learned that Part A is not an annual deductible, but Part B is an annual deductible. So you might look at it this way. Oh, Victoria, no big deal. $198, that's not too much money. I can totally handle that. Well, keep in mind, once you've paid that deductible on the Part B medical portion of Medicare, then guess what? You've heard that 80-20, right, about Medicare. You hear this on TV, you hear it in the news, you see it in your mail. The 80-20 is what that means is Medicare covers 80%, and it's called co-insurance. So co-insurance is simply the cost sharing between Medicare and you as the Medicare beneficiary. Okay, so let's break it down. Medicare covers 80%, so they're going to take on the lion's share of the cost. And then the beneficiary, which is you're going to pay 20% of the cost. Now, a lot of you guys think, oh, 20%, that's pretty good. In my last job, my co-insurance was 70-30 or 60-40, and you were paying, 40% or 30%. Well, keep in mind, and again, this is another big thing. If you remember anything out of this video, please remember this and write this down. Please pause the video, you get a pen, write it down. I want to explain the 20%, okay? The 20% that you're responsible for, understand there is no out-of-pocket maximum or maximum out-of-pocket. But Victoria, what does this mean? I don't understand insurance lingo. Well, out-of-pocket OOPM or MOOP, which is maximum out-of-pocket, simply means your bottom line, okay? So think about a worst case scenario. Let's just say there was a $500,000 procedure, a medical procedure that fell under Part B, okay? Well, again, Medicare covers 80%. You'd be responsible for the 20%. But that 20%, you might say, well, what's my worst case scenario? What am I capped at? Well, that's what I'm talking about. There is no cap on the 20%. So you don't have a bottom line, really. You keep paying that 20% and it never stops and it never stops. You keep paying that. So somebody that can, if you have a chronic illness, or maybe you got diagnosed with cancer and now you're undergoing chemotherapy, or you got diagnosed with a terminally ill condition that required you to be in the hospital, or maybe you had a triple bypass surgery or whatever it was, you're going to pay the 20% and understand that 20%, there's no cap on that. So if you think about it, that's a lot of money. The reason why we have insurance is to prevent us from having to pay a large out-of-pocket sum of money when that time comes, or if that time comes and we're hospitalized. So just understand, write it down. There is no maximum out-of-pocket. And I don't know about you, I'm the type of person that likes to know the numbers. I like to know what my worst case scenario is. Even if you told me, hey, Victoria, just know that your worst case scenario in any given situation would be $6,000. Well, at least I can prepare for that. Where when you have original Medicare and you're on Part A and Part B only, that 20% is not capped out. And yes, I know I keep talking about this, but this is a very important thing to understand. Okay, so pause the video, rewind, whatever you need to do, but please remember that. And we really try to help you understand, because we don't want you to encounter these situations or be blindsided in the future and say, hey, Victoria never told me that. I thought I was going to pay 20%. Well, now you know the 20% never stops. Okay, so now we can move on. Now, the Medicare Part B, understand that when you have Part B, a lot of you that are watching this video might have other insurance. So just try to take yourself out of that situation for 1 second, okay? Because I'm only talking about how Part B works if you don't have any other insurance. So understand, some of you might be watching this, well, that's not true. I only pay $198 and I don't pay anything after that. Or, oh, I only pay a copay. Or well, that's not what I'm talking about. This video is simply just to help you understand what Part B is. If you have other insurance, that's absolutely awesome, because you're taking the steps to make sure you're protecting yourself from these things. But these videos are for educational purposes only. So I just want to help you understand, if you didn't have those types of insurance, what the cost would be out of pocket. Okay, so let's recap really quickly. Part B is the medical portion of Medicare. There's a monthly premium of $144.60, which is per month. That never goes away unless you qualify for low-income programs, or maybe you don't have the Part B, then you wouldn't pay that premium. Another thing, there is a annual deductible of $198 for the Part B portion of Medicare. You're responsible for 20% after that deductible. So Medicare pays 80%, you pay 20%. And last but not least, I'm sure you know what I'm going to say, there is no maximum out of pocket with Medicare Part B. So you are responsible for 20% of an unknown number if you don't have any type of insurance to help supplement that. Okay, so with that being said, you should know enough about Part B to make a good decision. If you have any questions, again, you can always call me, text me, email me, whatever you need. Now, please leave your comments below, or if you prefer, send them to me by email, and I'd be happy to help you. That's what I'm here for. On the next video, we're gonna learn about what is Part D, D for drugs, okay? And so you've learned, let's just recap that little red, white, and blue card that you get. We've already taught you how Medicare works, or what is Medicare and who qualifies. We already taught you what Part A is. We've already taught you what Part B is and how that works. The next video is going to be about Part D for drugs and how that works. And there's going to be a whole bunch of other videos going forward that are going to teach you about all the little parts of Medicare, and even tackling some issues that I've run into with customers or potential customers that I've sat down with that I talk to every day that have Medicare. So again, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. My name is Victoria Cabrera. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Thank you so much.